Monica, all yours. And thank you for your patience.
Thank you very much, Steph, and good afternoon, everyone. I hope you are well today. For some of you who are starting the new year, I will say for the last time, probably this week, Happy New Year. The General Assembly and the Economic and Social Council will hold a joint briefing on the 31st of January to outline efforts to improving coherence in the work of the GA and Ecosoc. The announcement was made in a letter signed by President Maria Fernanda Espinosa and the President of Ecosoc, Ms. Rhoda King. The meeting, entitled Revitalization of the Work of the General Assembly, will discuss the need to enhance synergies and reduce overlap in both the agendas of the GA and also the Ecosoc and their subsidiary bodies, as well as the high-level political forum and other related forums in light of the adoption of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. This meeting will take place at the Trustship Council Chamber from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. on 31st of January, so mark in your diaries if you are interested to cover it. And on the 1st of February, the General Assembly will mark the beginning of the International Year of Indigenous Languages with a high-level plenary meeting at the GA Hall. Member states and stakeholders will be offered an opportunity to exchange views and best practices about the preservation, the promotion, but also revitalization of indigenous languages. The group of indigenous peoples includes Argentina, Australia, Brazil, Bolivia, Canada, Colombia, Denmark, Ecuador, El Salvador, Finland, Guatemala, Mexico, Nicaragua, Norway, New Zealand, Spain, Paraguay, and Peru. According to UNESCO, there are some 6,000 to 7,000 languages in the world today and 370 million indigenous people. There are 90 countries with indigenous communities, 5,000 different indigenous cultures, and 2,680 languages are in danger of disappearing. Without appropriate measure to address this issue, the richness of memory and linguistic diversity worldwide will be at risk too. On the PJ's agenda, President Espinosa met today with the Executive Director of Unicef, Ms. Henrietta Fore. This afternoon, the PJ will have a bilateral meeting with the Undersecretary General of the UN Counter-Terrorism Office, Mr. Vladimir Voronkov. And later, Ms. Espinosa will grant an interview to the Press Trust of India and to Morocco News Agency. And as you know, as we're starting a new year, all interviews are arranged through my colleague Mark Seddon, sitting in the back, media advisor to the PGAs. And I was asked yesterday about the 18-year-old Saudi woman in Thailand who is trying to seek refuge away from her family. The PGA is pleased that Ms. Rahaf Mohammed Al-Hunun is now receiving assistance from UNHCR in regard with her asylum request. Ms. Espinosa says that it is paramount that Ms. Mohammed Al-Hunum's rights are respected. The PJ highlights the importance of equal rights for men and women, and she urges governments in line with international conventions and declarations to be faithful to their basic tenets. And this is all for today. I am now happy to take your questions if you have any. Go ahead. Yes.
Thank you, Monica. I also have a question on Venezuela, pretty much on the same idea or concept that I was discussing with Steph, and it is that there is a group of nations that are taking steps to take a wider distance from the new government that Nicolas Maduro will be starting on Thursday. So I wonder what's the view of the PGA on this, and these are, after all, member states from the UN. So will there be any kind of change on the relationship that the General Assembly will have towards Venezuela? What's the view of the PGA on what's going to happen in Venezuela next Thursday?
Alejandro, thank you for your question. I can say that President Espinosa is following media reports on the situation in Venezuela. She recalls that the region is responding to the flux of migrants who are on the move to neighboring countries, as you know, but also other countries in the region. She also supports the work in this regard of the Joint Special Representative with IOM, from IOM, and of course UNHCR. And she highlights the importance of dialogue and calm, and stresses the need for reconciliation with this regard. Thank you. Go ahead, Jen.
Thank you. I just wanted to ask you about Guatemala, whether the PGA has any thoughts on these developments of the last 24 hours.
Yes, the president of the GIA actually supports and firmly believes that constructive dialogue is the ideal tool to resolve political differences. So she firmly believes that political dialogue can help at this very moment. But thank you. Any other questions? Masood?
Just tell me, you just said that the PGA gave the statement on the Saudi girl who is now still held in Thailand. I just want to know what is it, how she can offer her officers, does she think that the Saudi girl is now in danger, and if yes, what is it that she can do to mitigate that?
Look, first of all, it's very important that the rights of this person in question, this Saudi woman of 18 years of age, is respected, guaranteed. The PGA is pleased that the situation, this case is now receiving the assistance of UNHCR, and on any further details on, of course, the state or the status of Ms. Mohammed Hunus is actually, I would refer you to UNHCR, because they are in the field right now, and they are in direct contact with her. But the PGA's response for the question that was asked yesterday includes, of course, the concern that her rights are respected. Thank you. Stefano.
Yes, about those migrants that are stranded off Malta now for several days. Does the president think that the human rights of those migrants at the moment are respected by those European governments that shut off the ports and don't let those migrants that have been rescued on the sea to...
As you know, one of her priorities is that definitely migrants and migration and refugees, or migrants and refugees. And she last year has dedicated and continues to dedicate a great amount of time to this particular question. It's important that migrants, refugees, whoever is in the need and assistance receives the assistance. This is one of the many provisions that now the Global Compact on refugees separately, but also the Global Compacts on safe, orderly, and regular migration forces. And then if there is any certain statement that we can make is that whoever needs assistance right now needs to receive this assistance. And the Global Compact now, we talked about that here at length last year, but it has been adopted. It was actually endorsed by the GA and was adopted by consensus in Marrakesh. But now it needs to be implemented. This is a document that cannot be put on the side. It needs to be implemented and considered. And this is one of the reasons that the PGA appointed two co-facilitators now to discuss the modalities of this implementation. And as you are familiar with, there will be a period review starting 2022. So first of all, the rights, as you asked, but also the commitment that member states made to implement the compact.
Just a quick follow-up. For countries that didn't sign the Global Compact, what the President of the General Assembly expect on this particular issue and on the respect of the human rights of the migrants?
You remember that we mentioned last year that the President firmly believes in a open doors policy for countries which didn't have the chance to endorse the compact. There's no signature as such, but to adopt and endorse the Global Compact last year in December, that they will, there is any time they can, of course, join this commitment, this document, which at the end of the day was a commitment that member states made here even before the adoption. So she believes that as the Global Compact is being implemented, that countries will see that it is working. It's an effective tool to deal with the question of migration, and that they will join. But of course, she respects the reflections that they made and expects that they join the compact. Any other question? So thank you very much for your patience. Another record. Thank you. Thanks. Bye.